Well, 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 here we are again.
Hey, did we plan this tank top session?
No, we didn't, did we? We didn't, but bloody hot here. Mm.
It's hot.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Thanks for your support. Um, we've got something a little bit different to throw at you today, but we think you're gonna enjoy it because we're coming at this from a completely different angle. So, shall we just get straight on with it, Harry, and we'll have a chat at the end?
Straight away, straight away.
Okay, let's get into it. All right. Now, a lot of people talk about the Earth being a prison planet. Well, not many people stop to consider that, our, whether you want to call it a soul or spirit or whatever, is trapped in our body, and our body is trapped in this realm right now. So, I'm calling it a prison within a prison. So as usual, I always try to throw a couple of light-hearted memes in at the start. I saw this the other day and I just thought, that's class. I never said all that shit. And 1970s chat room using Windows. Oh, I remember them days. Crazy. All right. We are living at the peak of the time of the false world. That's why being real gets you shunned, why speaking truth gets you scorned and banned. Society is at the tipping point of the height of, that should be illusion, not illusion. It takes serious courage to be real right now. Please be brave and hang in there. Can't argue with that.
No,
Same
I
as you
think,
got.
yeah, I think a lot of people have to kind of grow up and kind of grow some
Yeah,
because
yeah.
nobody's really doing much to support themselves. They're
Mm,
still waiting for someone to save them.
yep. And of course, from Jordan, nothing in this world operates the way you think it does. Banks do not loan money. Governments are not empowered to protect you. The police department is not there to serve you. Institutions of higher learning, colleges, and educational institutes are not there to educate you. The entire superstructure of civilization in the Western world is a combination of brilliantly put together and planned, well planned schemes to direct the minds of the people in such a way as to serve their masters. Again, cannot argue.
Yeah, gotta love Jordan Maxwell.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
real quick on that whole police department thing. Back in the day, the police cars used to have written on the side on the door to
Yeah.
protect
Protect and
and
serve.
serve.
Yeah.
They don't do either one of those now. What are they there for? To
Well,
collect money for the municipality.
yeah, but what they didn't tell you back in those days when they were riding around in these cars with to protect and serve, they missed two words. It should have been to protect and serve the government.
Right.
We always we always we always thought it was to protect and serve us, but no,
Yeah,
everything's upside down.
yeah.
This one blew me away, Harry. From 1936, no state, no government exists. What does in fact exist is a man, or very few men, who have the power over many.
Rose Wilder, Elaine.
Yeah,
Very, very true. Very true.
absolutely. Um, this is a screenshot that I took, guys, from the the series called "The Man Who Fell to Earth," and one of the main characters is called Newton. And I took this because it's a truth drop. He said the whole network on Earth is a shared belief in things that aren't true. Now, of course, back in the day, Harry would have laughed at, oh, I thought it was just a TV program. It's just, but we know how everything's inverted, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, that whole statement is pretty much identifying what we use as currency, right? The fiat dollar. You believe it's worth something, the
Yep,
other guy believes it's worth something, and because the belief, it has
yep,
value, whereas in
yep.
reality, it's worthless.
Reading this one without intonation is can be a little bit confusing. I am not what you think I am. You are what you think I am. Couldn't have said it better myself. Okay, so we're gonna get onto the subject of sex and the city. Many people are familiar with this so-called Mandela effect, or this so-called change. It was sex in the city, and it's now sex and the city. And there's a reason for it, guys. There's a reason for it. The city is the name for London, basically, the head of finance. You got Washington, you got Vatican. Everybody's familiar with these. So you have the city, which relates to money, and you have sex. So you have sex and the city. Sex and money are basically what control our lives. These monuments are, or certainly the Washington Monument, is known as the Golden Phallus. I wonder why that would be.
Well, and
Well,
one thing I just want to interrupt. City also is a reference to citizens,
mm,
right? Which means the people. So, what do people
yeah,
want?
yeah. It's also got I, sit I, as in the,
Mhm,
the eye of Ra.
mhm.
Well, the phallus is dedicated to the sun god Ra. Now, who is known as the light of the world, the son of God, God's son? Ready or not, Jesus is coming. I'm coming. Oh, baby, baby, I'm coming. Jesus, I'm coming. That's, I don't know why I put that in there. Because of the eyes at the
Yeah,
top.
the
Now,
eye fell. The eye fell. Yeah.
yeah, I've spelt it phonetically. The Eiffel Tower, and thanks to Kim for this, because she told me, she looked it up and she said it was built in 1889, which directly correlates with um, our idea that the last reset was 1888. Um, but I can't find proof. Jason's got loads and loads of evidence, so I'm not going to challenge him on it. But anyway, so is that the Ouroboros? Is that the snake serpent eating its own tail, or is it the serpent giving himself a blowjob? Either could be um, considered. Okay, so guys, if you go to the channel and click on videos and scroll down to the one in the middle on the left here, you can see the X, the E, and the S. It's actually Greek for 666, and it looks like sex upside down. Harry and I did this about a year ago. It's half an hour, but it gets into this topic of sex and the city. That was the first one we did on it, but I've got some more information, which is why you could consider this kind of a part two. So the golden phallus, dedicated to Ra, the sun god. Ra is connected to radium, which is 88, which is the reincarnation loop that we've spoken about so many times. So was it the resurrection in the Bible, or Ra's erection? Ra's erection, resurrection. Oh, come on. They're not that different, are they, Harry?
Nope.
Ra's erection? Hmm. Now, why am I showing you this? Because, again, we are talking about sex and money. Well, we call that booty. But what is also booty? When you consider a pirate,
It's a treasure.
it's treasure. Yeah, so you have the money connection to the sexual connection. Okay. And this one blew me away, guys. I mean, look at that. That's supposed to be the divine feminine. I mean, it needs no explanation. When I saw that, it just totally blew me away.
Isn't that the vagina
Incredible.
Mary? Vagina Mary?
Oh, the Virgin Mary, the Vagina Mary. Yeah. And that's led me to this. I mean, the connection should be fairly obvious, guys. The 101, the two legs, and come on. Um, but if you look at it from left to right, you can clearly see the 10. And if you read it from right to left, you can also see a 10. And 10 spelled out in reverse is a net. A net. Jesus was a fisher of men. Tenet. Well, if you look up the word tenet, there's actually a movie called Tenet, guys. It's worth watching if you haven't seen it. But it's in Etymology, it's given as a principle, opinion, or dogma. Where do we get dogma from? The church. Maintained as true by a person, sect, school, etc. Okay, I don't need to read it all. You know what it means. Its religion is a tenet, a tenet. And I put this one in because of the obvious to what it looks like. I'm not going to say the word, but this is called the 101 Tower, and it's in Taipei. Taipei is the capital of Taiwan. Taiwan's been in the news quite a lot lately, hasn't it? I wonder why.
Don't get stuck with the tip here.
Yep, yep, yep. Okay, so moving on. We know the apple plays a huge part in the Bible, but what is it really? L, we know, means godly, and we know that an app, or an app, as they call it here in China, is a computer program, a type of computer program. So could Apple actually be App L, God's computer program, aka the simulation that we all find ourselves in? And of course, we know that the apple fell on this dude's head. But what what a lot of people didn't know was that apparently this was in 16, or what we know is 1666, which is when this era began with the birth certificates and so on and so forth.
The trust system.
Yeah, the trust, SQV trust. Yeah. And of course, Apple used that symbol on their first computer. Shout out to Hugo from Hugo Talks for some of these screenshots. This one is perfect, you know, the serpent giving the apple to Eve, and that one I just couldn't resist. So 1976 through to the present day, that has been the Apple logo. And you know, even you said, Harry, that back in 1976, that amount of money, $666.66, was a big chunk. You know,
if you wanted a computer, you had to be fairly wealthy to be able to afford
yeah,
a $600, almost $700 computer.
Yeah, and we know how they love to ram the 666 down our throat. There's the testing thing, the patent. You know, these pop up all the time. Yeah, it's just crazy. So phones, computers, we call them a device. Hugo calls them devil vices. He says the word comes from, that's where we get device from. Like I can see his logic. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Really? In the Bible?
And a vice is something opposite to a virtue.
Yeah.
Or it's something that you can put something in and tighten it like a vice.
Yeah.
And have a good grip on it, just like those the bindings of a religion.
Yeah, the ties that bind. Yeah. And of course, when we load something up, we have an installation wizard. And some of you out there will be old enough to remember when, if you sent an email to someone and for whatever reason it couldn't get delivered, it was you got a mailer demon notice, and DAEMON is the same as DEMON. So device, what does device mean? Well, it's a Middle English from the Old French based on divided. Oh, really? The original sense was desire or intention, which is only now found in leave someone to their own devices. But device, divide. There's the link. There's the connection. Divide and conquer. You know, we all experience this. It's so insane. Let's all go and have a coffee and just sit around and do nothing. You know, sit around and play on our phones. This one brings a new meaning to the phrase pillow talk.
Yeah, you bring those devices to the bedroom. Guess what else you're not going to do?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's all about mind control. This is the new Apple Watch, which is reminding you to breathe. Even a minute of breathing can reduce stress. Okay.
Oh yeah, a
You
minute.
need to be reminded to breathe, Harry. There's a reason they call it a cell phone. It's a prison cell for your mind. We're taught that God is love, right? Well, this is the Chinese character for love. Can you see on the top, Harry? It almost looks like a crown.
Yeah.
Um, and the way it's pronounced is I. And when you spell it out in using the English alphabet, it is AI. AI. God is love. God is love. Love is AI. They're telling you the God of this realm, this simulation. And I'm putting this in because how have we been so blind? We're not so blind anymore. I mean, I'm not going to read this out, guys, for obvious reasons, but just pause the video and it's just mad. It's crazy. And I wanted to throw this in because I don't know if this guy's real or not, but this guy Anthony Blinken apparently is a American government official. And I can't pull up his Twitter account because I'm banned from Twitter. But somebody showed me, and his Twitter account is A Blinken, A Blinken, A Blinken, A Blinken. I mean, again, you could. People say you can't make this stuff up, but somebody clearly is. And just for a bit of put a smile on your face, guys. 2 photos taken an hour apart before and after adoption. I mean, that brings tears to a glass eye. I mean, that to me is just words fail me. Beautiful.
Hey, that people have to realize we're on the left.
Yeah,
We could be on the right.
you got it. You got it. Now, I'm going to finish with this, guys, because this is something that I found the other day. Um, and it's a quote or a speech from the founder of Dubai. He said, "My grandfather rode a camel. My father rode a camel. I ride a Mercedes. My son will ride a Land Rover. My grandson will ride a Land Rover. But my great grandson will have to ride a camel." And when asked why, he said, "Hard times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create difficult times." And I thought, wow, that is so profound. We are not invaded from outside. We do this to ourselves. But we're manipulated into doing it to
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah, the system.
Um, yeah, I'll post this link below. I'll just put it in there so I didn't lose it. I'll post this link below to Hugo Talks. He's talking about the smart device division. It's really worth watching. Really, really worth watching. Fair play to him. He's a great guy. Um, so there we have it. What are your thoughts, my friend?
No, the last quote about the degradation of the ability of people to they start off strong, but then they become weak, and eventually the cycle repeats. Um, and you said it too, the society that we live in, we tend to think that they make us think that we're the reason why we pollute the world and
Yeah,
why we ruin everything. But in
yeah,
reality, it's the big corporations that they're looking at their bottom dollar. And so they create these toxins, these plastics, these things that are polluting our world. And yet the activists wants it to be the little man who's responsible, whereas in reality, it's the big industry that's creating the
yeah,
problem. They
yeah,
should,
yeah.
if they want to resolve the problem before they institute a product, they need to have a way to not have it become a toxin.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I was about 10 years old. I got a little part-time job helping the milkman, right? And back in the day, we deliver the milk. The milk was in glass bottles. You'd
Mhm.
leave out the empties. The empties would be washed, refilled,
Yeah,
right? For years, years and years and years. You don't buy milk in a glass bottle anymore.
very seldom.
You know?
Only if you go to a direct little small farm. They still do, but I
Oh,
mean
okay.
everything is in a plastic now.
Yeah.
And what happens with that plastic? Oh, we're going to recycle it. How much of it
Bullshit.
gets recycled?
None of it gets recycled. It's all bullshit.
And I think I saw somewhere that the cost of recycling is subsidized.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it's too expensive to recycle.
Yeah.
So when something's too expensive, you just don't do it.
Last time I was in Australia, which would have been back in 2018, on my way to my brother's house, you have to drive past the local um, landfill, right? And I'm driving past, and I looked, and I went, "Whoa!" There was a recycle truck, yeah, because you've got your recycle bin, and one truck picks that up, and then you've got your normal waste that goes into the landfill. And this guy was dumping it into the landfill. I'm like, whoa, that's supposed to be recycled.
Mhm. Yeah.
Crazy.
People will just
Absolutely.
people just believe anything they're told. I'd like to see, where does the money go for all these uh, places that collect like blood donations, money for the cure to cancer, money for the cure to muscular dystrophy. All this
Well,
money is going into someone's pocket,
mm,
and the blood donations aren't even going to the people who need it.
I saw a documentary recently. I'm not going to mention the name of the organization, um, but it's known as think of the Jesus and think of a red one,
Mhm.
right? And they this documentary showed that 20% of all the donations um, go to the hospitals, and the other 80% are sold by the red,
Yes.
sold to the big pharma.
Yeah, or the highest bidder.
And look, and here's something, guys. This is a genuine question that's been bugging me now for a while. If anybody out there knows, when we when we die, our body gets embalmed, which means all of our blood is removed, replaced with embalming fluid. Why? Now, is this conspiratorial? Maybe. But if you're going to get put in a box and dumped in a hole in the ground, why not just leave you alone? Now, someone said, oh, it's because of all the food we eat that contains preservatives that your body won't rot. Okay, I think that's an excuse. I really do. Um, so if anybody watching this, if you anybody of you know anyone who works in a funeral home or does that kind of
I can tell
you know
you, I can tell you partly because the embalming fluid is not going to evaporate, whereas the blood probably will. And if you're going to have a funeral, usually the funeral happens more than a week after the death, and so the body shrivels up without the proper, you know, fluids in it, and then you don't look like yourself. I had a
okay,
funeral for my dad a couple of years ago,
yeah,
and even with the fluids, you don't look like you do when you're alive.
mm,
You look like a maybe 80% of yourself.
yeah.
You shrink,
But
you
I,
change color.
I what they take all that the blood out of your body when you die. What do they do with it?
Yeah.
You know. Um, there's a really good video. I'll try and remember to leave the link that Josh Stone put up a couple of days ago. It's 25 minutes. It's certainly worth watching. In fact, Harry, I sent you the link, so I'll have it in my email. Yeah, I'll try and remember to post the link below, guys. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Well, one thing I want to say is, people are going to be they're still looking for a savior. I can see it in the news, which I don't watch, but I just listen to people who do watch. And a lot of fear porn out there. A lot of people are telling you that in the next um, months or before the end of the year or beginning of next year, there's going to be some kind of shortages, and you got to stock up on food and all. Look, I'm all for being prepared for anything, but if you're afraid of it, it's going to happen to you.
Yep.
So just be prepared, but don't fear it.
Hmm.
Otherwise you're going to attract that, you know, terrible event right to you. So you don't want
Well,
that.
yeah. I mean, again, we we're getting more and more information coming out on this simulation theory. Now, I was watching Logan yesterday on his latest What's Your Question, and he suggested something, and I tried, and it absolute guys, it fucking blew me away, right? And I'll tell you exactly what it is. Anybody familiar with this channel knows that he pretty much only uses Chaldean numerology. And he says when you decode your name, put your full name plus your mother's maiden name, right? So I thought, okay. Now the interesting thing here, guys, I'll never forget this, is that when I was a kid growing up in the UK, we all had a home phone number, back in the 60s and 70s. Our home phone number was 74047. Okay, 74047. So I typed in my full name plus my mother's surname, my mother's maiden name, 74. I removed my dad's surname, if you like, yeah, and just left Nigel Paul and my mum's maiden name, 47. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. 74 and 47, 74047 was our phone number when I was growing up in the UK. Now, there are skeptics out there who go, no, it's just a coincidence. Well, no. I've done too much of a decode into my own name, address, even my full address where I grew up, including the postcode, matches with all my own codes, my own name in English and Chaldean and the whole boot and dice. The 11. My first child was born on 11/11. I mean, come on, what are the chances? Absolutely crazy. And here's another one, Harry. There's a good one. People on the channel know my birthday is October 1, which can be written 10/1 or 1/10. Well, if you add up all the individual numbers in my date of birth, it comes to 19. If you add up the big numbers, the 1 plus 10 plus the 19, it comes to 91, which is the reverse of 19. And if you add 19 and 91, what do you get? 110. When's my birthday? 110. I mean, it's just mind-blowing. If you haven't watched Logan's How to Decode Yourself, it's about a year old. I strongly suggest you do. His channel is called Decode Your Reality. Just go on there, find How to Decode Yourself, and it will blow you away. You need a pen and a paper to make notes because he's going to give you instructions as to what you got to do. But it's a mindfuck. It really, really is. And that one yesterday, when I added my mum's maiden name and came out with the 74 and the 47, when our phone number was 74047, I'm like, wow.
Well, like you said, everything is a code.
Yeah.
Everything's pre-programmed. Everything's written. And that's why when we look at Jason's channel, he's telling us he's recorded and he's got all the evidences to show that these cycles happen every so often. Yeah. So yeah, should you be ready? Yeah, you should. Should you fear it? No, don't fear it.
Absolutely. Another one.
But do go out there and do something that's going to show maybe someone who is kind of afraid to not be afraid by doing something, by showing action.
Yeah. And another one that's worth watching is Forever Conscious Research Channel. To be honest, I don't watch a lot of his stuff because many of his videos are like 2-3 hours long. But I caught one yesterday. It was half an hour into a live. Shout out to Pamela Swan and Christine Buckley too. And it's this guy had 4 near-death experiences in 1 hour, and his story is absolutely incredible. So that's another one to go and check out. Forever Conscious Research Channel. Yeah, the one with the 4 near-death experiences. Yeah, because he comes at it from a completely different angle to the way the guy that actually had the NDEs is explaining what he felt and what happened and how it all all came together. And yeah, it was really, really, really well worth the time, in my opinion. Talking of time, Harry, we're going to run out in a few minutes, so shall we end it here? Anything you wanna finish with?
Just again, I think a lot of people are just sitting back and relaxing. And I'm not saying to panic or do anything, but we got to be ready. Like
Yeah,
for example, in my yard, I'm gonna compost and I'm gonna grow some vegetables. Am I gonna be able to feed the neighborhood? No, I won't. But in a pinch, I can get a carrot or a potato out of there. So just be ready. Be
yeah.
ready. Don't be afraid though.
No, no. Something's on the horizon. We don't know what it is, but we just know there's
Mhm.
something there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it ain't that far away. I mean, we're coming up to the end of the Shemitah year, I think, on September the 26th.
Mhm.
So that's a high watch date. I said that 8/22, um, August the 22nd was worth watching. Didn't expect anything to happen here, although it did. Um, there's a water park in my friend lives in a very, very big city in China, and there's a very popular water park. And at exactly 16:10, which adds up to 8, on 8/22/2022, they locked everybody in because two people, they said, that they locked everybody in for 3 days. Not the government, the
The
owners of
park.
the
The
park.
park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that happened, and of course, the favorite, everyone's favorite doctor in the US. I don't want to say his name, but
I mean
everybody knows who
the
he is.
fake the
Yeah,
fake
yeah.
the fake job
No,
guy. Yeah.
no. The one that begins with the letter F.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Fake the
yeah.
the faux.
Oh, yeah. The foe. Yeah. Well, he tendered his resignation on the 22nd.
I'm surprised they haven't strung him up yet.
Well, he's going to step down in December, but he tendered his resignation on 8/22. So, you know, yeah. Anyway, guys, we shall leave it there. Thank you once again for joining us. I'm back in my apartment now, so I've got my camera back. And yeah, so we're kind of back to normal, whatever normal might be. So we'll catch you on the next one, guys. Once again, thanks for
All
being
right.
with us.
You take care.
Much love to you all.
Bye now.
Cheers.